All right, so hi everyone. My name is Benny. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces. I was here to introduce the event, NPC Day. Thanks for those who have stuck around and all the sponsors and people who are building on this amazing future. So you're probably wondering, am I here to close off this event, or what am I here to talk about? Well, we have one more demo, which is going to be me, and then we're going to have a fireside with Jaden and Leah, which will be like a 1-year anniversary. A lot of people don't know, but ERC 6551 or TBAs was actually released at EVE Denver last year. So it was published, and we were actually at the hackathon working on the Bead DAO, and that was kind of like the MVP of all of it. And we're back here again 1 year later, and this room was full of builders, full of demos, full of energy. So we're really excited. So yeah, I'm gonna kick it off. So Future Primitive, as you know, we are a team that's based in Vancouver, Canada, and we have Druzy, who's also in Florida. We're a fairly small team, but we're not only working on the ERC 6551 standard, but if you've known us, we really love consumer apps. So what you're looking at today is a new consumer app that we've been building, and it's called PERMA. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the inspiration. So how many people know about the International Image Exchange Directory? Not many people. Totally understand. So the Image Exchange Directory actually was founded in 1969. It was founded by a kind of not-for-profit called the Image Bank. And the Image Bank helped facilitate ideas, images, and information between artists through the postal system. So if you look at something like mail art or correspondence art, back in the 70s, people were sending mail to each other of photos and art pieces, and it kind of like went in this decentralized network where when we uncovered it, we're like, wow, this is super cool. If you actually bought a copy of this book, it's pretty straightforward. What you see is a list of people's names, whom are artists, and their actual physical address published. And so it's kind of like a yellow pages or a white pages where you see all these artists, and they actually have a description of what they're looking for. Sometimes they're like, hey, I really love photos of chairs. Can you send me photos of chairs? And so one day they would walk to the mailbox and randomly get like letters from random people around the world that are photos of chairs. So that's kind of how it all worked, and we thought that was extremely cool. Like, why not bring that back? And so this is one example. Sandro, I don't know if Sandro's still alive. 1970s has been a while. So Sandro is looking for photos of flamingos in the suburbs. And if you have photos of flamingos in the suburbs, just mail it to this address. It's in Italy. And so we just so happen to have a fictitious example. Well, John from the US took some photos of flamingos. I don't know if it's in the suburbs, but sent it to Sandro. Or Sally from Canada was like, hey, I got this toy flamingo in my backyard, and took a photo and sent it to Sandro. And so, what's really interesting is that social media has really grown into this thing where you are the media, you are the content creator, and you have to get likes and follows and all of that, the social status game. And we thought, we're in this open, decentralized world. We knew how to do this since the 70s. There's something that we can do to bring it back. So PERMA is our new project by FP. Woo! Yes. And the way we kind of describe it, because it's multifaceted, but we call it an image exchange network. And I think a lot of people are probably like, what the heck is an image exchange network? And usually they kind of gravitate towards, hey, is it a decentralized social media network? Or, hey, is it a decentralized file storage network? Or, hey, is it an NFT minting platform? Or, yeah, is it a new photo app? And I'm here to tell you that it's none of those. It's a completely new thing. It's an image exchange network. And so this is what an image looks like. For us, we call it an exposure. And we really took a lot of cues from the analog film movement, where you buy a film roll and you have 24 exposures, you snap the photo, each one's an exposure, and then you develop the film. So we call this an exposure. It's technically an ERC 1155. And exchange. So kind of similar to the 1970s of the image directory, whenever you take a photo, you develop it on chain, and it automatically disseminates across the network. And isn't that, well, I mean, we're in the blockchain space. Everybody is part of the network, so why not leverage it for this new upgraded 2024 version of the image exchange network? And then the next thing, as I described to you, is the idea of the network, right? So what makes up the network? It could be humans, it could be TBAs, it could be hardware. And so we think that those three things actually create a really compelling area. If you think about all of the creative platforms out there for art, there's Zora and Art Blocks, there's Mirror for writing blogs, you got social tokens with FriendTech, you got music with Sound and Sona, but is there one for photo? And that does not exist. Sure, you can upload it on OpenSea or Zora, but I think the photo taking and photo exchange is not actually taken a look at. So one of the breakthrough discoveries that we made several months ago is we found a way actually to interconnect old cameras and new cameras. Could be your phone, could be a digital camera. We found a way to connect them all in this network, and we think it's extremely powerful. If you think about any photo app that has existed or has come out like Laps or BeReal, you got to download an app, and that's the only way you experience it. But because we are an image exchange network, you could use any camera, you can use any phone, and you participate in this network, which we think is really fascinating. And so we're going to start off as a PWA or mobile web app, but as you can kind of see, like there's a progression here of like we found something really interesting with SD cards that we're working on, and then maybe down the line we end up building our own camera where you can just click a button and it mints photos across the network around the world. So that is the dream, of course. We are, no experts in building hardware, but we think that the dream is still big and strong. If you've seen me, I've always carried a camera with me, so one day we could make a new one. So now let's talk about the network. So every exposure, when you click the button on your phone, it will automatically send to 3 people within the image exchange network. So you don't have to like, hey, what's your address? Or hey, what's your ENS? If you're part of the network, you can randomly receive a photo. And you'll get an SMS text of like, hey, Maz has just sent you this awesome photo, and click to look at it. So why 3 random people? 1, we believe that unexpected exchanges between 2 strangers can become socially valuable. You can make new friends. It's kind of like the pen pals, but images, where we used to in the day, like, hey, we met someone from Lisbon or met someone from Germany, and like we became friends. Nowadays, it's not really like that, but with the blockchain, we can try something like that. The second thing is whenever you click the mint button, or the develop button, you're actually developing the exposure. And in this example, David's, he took this photo, it's beautiful, and David pays $1.38 to develop the exposure. What actually happens is that there are 4 other NFTs or exposures that are created, and they're disseminated, and they have different value pricing. So you can see Bob got an exposure for 18 cents, Alice got an exposure for 41 cents, Dan got an exposure for 74 cents. And so if you're Dan, you randomly are shopping in the mall, and then you get a text, you click on the photo, you see this garden, and the really cool thing is you can be like, I don't really like this photo, click sell, and immediately you can liquidate and get 74 cents. Or if you look at it and you're like, I really love it, and you keep it, or you buy more, right? So that's kind of the idea of connecting kind of like monetary and photos together, and like, what does that mean? Because no one has really done that before. Every photo is owned and shared by the network of the people, there are people who are in the network. And so, as I said, as the network grows, more and more images will start to populate, and people will actually have ownership over it. And we wanted to make it super simple. I think that we're in this new wave of like consumer crypto, where people are building some of the most amazing things for live streaming, for clothing, and all of that. And we think that it should be as simple as just clicking a button and the magic happens. And so in this idea as well, there's this idea of a film roll. So kind of in the analog context, in order to participate in the network, you must own a film roll. And you can either receive a film roll for free, or you buy a film roll with credit card. And when you buy the film roll, it's purely digital, it's an NFT. It actually has on-chain logic. It's essentially a set of smart contracts. And it has visual artifacts, like the filter or the preset. It has exposure counts, like 12, 24, etc. It has market dynamics like bonding curve, linear or flat. Not only that, when you own like the blue film roll, you could kind of hang out with all the blue film roll people and then the red film roll, etc. And I put time degradation because people who take film photos, they know that when a film roll expires, the effects start to change. And you know what? What's really cool is that on-chain, you can play with these things. And so what we're trying to do in some fronts is creating a new digital film roll company to rival Kodak and Fujifilm and be thinking deeply about on-chain and ownership and a network. And this is kind of the three circles of PERMA. These names may change through time, but the three circles illustrate the first circle on the left is the film roll company, which is going to be PERMA. And that's where we'll be working with artists and creatives to launch film rolls that have all this on-chain logic. And then the right side is the image exchange network, where everyone who participates will be a part of. And then lastly above is the International Memory Bank, of which is essentially going to be the store of all these iconic human moments. It essentially will effectively be a DAO down the line governed by the members. So now I'm going to show you, we've been painstakingly getting this ready, so hopefully it works. So I'll show you the demo. You guys see it, right? Okay, so this is PERMA, and you're going to see how easy it is to take a photo. So you're going to log in with SMS or create an account. So I'll take a selfie. So it's going to prompt me to buy with credit card, which I'm going to do. It's staging right now, but it will work. So this will be about $18. Okay. All right. Sweet. So we're going to buy a film roll before we actually take photos. I mean, that's how film photography works. Without a film roll, you cannot take photos. And I think nowadays you get all these social apps where you just take 10,000 selfies, and you know, a lot of it's not really a moment that you want to keep, right? Cool. We're going to do it again. Cool. So, as you can see, it already has 3 random people. You don't really know what they are, who they are. These are actually TBAs. These are other film rolls in the network. So you're actually depositing photos into other film rolls. Imagine you bought a Kodak film, you took a photo, and someone across the world got the photo you took. It's a really interesting concept. So I'm not going to change any of these. If I wanted to add my friend, I could add a phone number, but I'm not going to do that. You could change the name, and otherwise you just click develop. It has default names already, and they're quite fun, so you don't really have to put a name into it. Takes about 10 seconds. It's the blockchain. So we're not, oh, here it is. That was pretty quick. Cool, so mine is loading, but you can already see that the team has been taking photos all day long of the, you know, really artistic folks on the team, and these are all actually photos or exposures that you can develop. If you want to develop, boom. Nowhere did I send ETH to this account. Nowhere did I have MetaMask. Nowhere have I did any of the crypto. All you really do is credit card to buy the film roll, and then away you go. And so we can look at the image that I have, is this one, and I can develop it as well. Done. So you can look at my profile here. I have a generated name, it's witchmouse945. And you can see that I created this exposure called design, and y'all are open to collect it. Or, as I said, because I'm part of the network, I'm actually receiving exposures from people around the network. So just by participating in it, I get to see other moments in life from all around the world, and Maz is in one of the photos. So yeah, this is PERMA, and I'll go back to the slides. And yeah, just to wrap up, we have a wait list. So the URL is per.ma, and be releasing really, really soon. And yeah, really excited about this project. It's using TBAs. As you heard this whole time, it's been about AI and agents, which we really love, and games. But I think that this showcases TBA in a completely different context. And hopefully it sparks creativity in your photo-taking adventures. So thank you so much. Any questions? Audrey. Yeah, so one thing I'll say is PERMA might not be for you if you are taking photos of something that you might deem inappropriate. Or maybe it is, but just know that it's disseminated into the network. We will have a reporting way to report photos, but as you know, these are NFTs, so we could remove it from the client, but technically it is on chain. Secondly is we've been exploring kind of token incentive ways of ways for you to earn part of some of the fees by reporting, and if it is an inappropriate photo, for that to be slashing the creator of it and then rewarding you as a reporter. Yeah, so as you saw when I signed up with my phone number. So when you sign up with your phone number, what is happening is a Privy wallet or Privy account is created, and then actually a film roll account using TBAs is creating an address. So all of those addresses are actually TBA addresses of folks in the network. And you can add a phone number, so if you want to add your friend Steve, just add their phone number and they'll get a message, and they'll have a deterministic address for a TBA. Yeah, so it's sneakily put in there, but if you actually saw closely into it, there is a bonding curve with this blue film roll. So essentially what is happening is you as the creator are paying a singular price, $1.38, and you are buying 4 points along the bonding curve and disseminating that value into the network. And so that's how we were able to actually tie like a provisioned market to a photo. Because right now you can mint a photo on OpenSea or Zora, but if you list it for sale, there is no market. And so we're kind of tying the two together. In some weird way, it's kind of like Cash App sending money to a friend, but there's a photo attached and it's an NFT. And so that's kind of the inverse way of thinking about how this is encapsulated. So Alice is not paying. David is paying $1.38, and that $1.38 is actually fractionalized into three. It's broken up into 3 points. So actually, Alice is getting a 41 cents that's tied to the photo. Because it's a bonding curve, so it kind of like goes upwards. So the more that is purchased, the higher the price goes up. Sorry? It's yeah. Yep. Questions? The film rolls at ERC 721, and the photos are 1155s. And so as people develop the photo, they're actually minting the photo into their film roll. Yeah, so they can collect it. Yeah, so we don't really have that in the contract yet, but you know, the blue roll is going to be our first. It's called Infinite XP, Infinite Exposure. So that's going to be a fun one with the bonding curve. But I think consecutive ones, like the red, gold ones, or when we work with creators and stuff like that, we can really like go really crazy. You could even imagine. Combining AI prompts. Imagine I have a film roll and it's called like Willy Wonka, and I take a photo and it actually encapsulates the data and it generates like a poem or something. And so instead of a photo, you're getting a poem now, and everybody who's participating is like writing poems through a photo. So you can kind of get pretty wild. As I said, you know, I think it's time for a revolution in the film roll side of the company. So we've been buying the same film rolls for ages. Cool. Any other questions? Fabian. Are you going to be able to express interest in a specific kind of pictures? 100%. So that's kind of like V2 or like phase further down is you kind of express in a like a natural language way of like, hey, I really like you know, apples. That's all you kind of write, and then essentially you, through sentiments, you're receiving apple photos from around the world. And you know, this kind of gets even broader of like, could this be training data for AI models because all these photos are on chain? And so it can kind of get more and more like crazier as we progress. Sure. That's a good question. For this first beta, you cannot, and there's like a double-edged sword, right? Because if you can talk, then you can get more, like people can be more like, they could harass you, right? Or they can say hi. But I think like what's really cool is this idea, like similar to the image exchange network, is that one day you go to your mailbox, you get all these photos from random people around the world. You don't even know anything about them, but you're like, hey, you know what? That was nice. And that's kind of that warm feeling that we're kind of looking for. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. PER.ma, sign up for waitlist, and we'll be releasing that fairly soon. We got one more fireside. It's going to be Jaden and Leah, and it's going to be about the 1-year anniversary of ERC 6551. And then I promise you we are done, and then we can all hang out and chat and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Future Primitive